One of the unique things about movies is the way in which it speaks to the audience. For some people, it's the way in which the story is told, and for some others, it's the connection they make with the characters and how they relate with the events as the story unfolds. But the thing that really turns my balls blue is when the fucking movie has no continuity with the fucking title. Typically, films stop numbering their sequels and add cliche words because it drives a specific point that the audience is anticipating in the plot, but the fact is that it makes it holy shit confusing. I know some of this may seem a bit pretentious, but let me explain. The first example of this is the Jaws franchise. The first movie was called Jaws, an amazing film I might add, whose plot revolves around a killer shark that terrorizes a small town. The concept was built around the idea of man versus nature, and the thought of being completely alone in the middle of the ocean is terrifying in its own right. Then came Jaws 2, a direct sequel to the first movie, then Jaws 3 in 3D. Okay, that makes sense. Simple and consistent with the story. Well, the fourth installment is called Jaws the Revenge. How the hell can it be The Revenge? The Revenge sounds like it should have been the sequel to the first movie. Also, what the shit is revenged about it? The revenge usually means the same villain makes another appearance to further carry the story. The shark in the first two movies explodes,
Smile, you son of a...
then electrocuted, and then the third movie gets blown up with a grenade. In the fourth movie, they released an international and a TV version, both of which have a different ending. In the international, the shark gets impaled with the bow of the ship and explodes, which goes against every law of physics, whereas the television version, the shark dramatically dies and sinks to the bottom of the ocean. Either way, both versions suck ass. So how in the balls is the same shark making an appearance? Each sequel just sucks harder and harder and is an insult to Steven Spielberg's original film. Not to mention the word revenge is the most overly used word in the sequel. There's no reason why you shouldn't use the number 4. I mean, you numbered the last movie. Why can't you number this one? What a bunch of baloney bullshit. The Mission Impossible films are another bunch of dick-faced sequels that still has me questioning the intelligence of mankind, starring the friendly fuckface Tom Cruise.
Son of a bitch!
You have Mission Impossible numbered 1 through 3. Okay, so far so good. Then, for no reason, they dropped the numbers and started adding subtitles with Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol, Rogue Nation, and Fallout. Now with the new one coming out later this year, they're calling it Mission Impossible 7. What kind of drugs are these morons taking? Going back and forth between the titles makes it look like there's two separate series going on at the same time. Future generations won't know what correct order these damn movies are in unless they do some serious research themselves. I mean, the more sequels you have, the more important it is to keep everything organized. Fuck me. The Rambo franchise has a weird sequence of titles that somehow change for the worse. The first movie is called First Blood. That's it. First Blood. The next one is called Rambo First Blood Part 2, and then the third one is called Rambo 3. So what the shit? Did they just forget about First Blood? The correct title should have been Rambo First Blood Part 3. And if that wasn't fucked enough, the next movie is called Rambo. Were they out of their drug-seeking minds? Rambo sounds like it's the first installment of the franchise. Should they have added his first initial and maybe his home address? Well, the last installment is kind of unique. Rambo, Last Blood. That makes sense, I guess. What else could you have called it? But how long can this fucking prick keep killing people at his age?
Nothing is over! Nothing!
And even if they were dumb enough to make another sequel, what are you gonna call it? Rambo, Last Blood, the Medicare years? What a bunch of Buffalo Biscuit bullshit. And just in case you think I'm being too cynical about this, here's one more film to scratch your heads at. A little over 10 years ago, I saw a movie poster for The Final Destination, and I said to myself, holy dick, Hollywood is really scraping from the bottom of the barrel to make a remake of Final Destination. What I later found out was it wasn't a remake at all. It's just another movie in the same fucking series. How the hell would you know the difference? If you're sitting at home wondering what to watch, you'll ask yourself, do you want to watch Final Destination or The Final Destination? Just call it Final Destination 4. What the shit is wrong with these people? Now, let's talk about plot holes because I have a lot to say. One of the biggest annoyances is when films don't cover their tracks, leaving a huge topic for debate. I get that these are fun to spot out from time to time, but not when it ruins the entire effect of the film, especially when the film has had a profound effect on the audience. Now, some of these movies I'm about to show might have you sucking your teeth in the back of your mouth, but I think it's necessary to explain how these plot holes bring down the value of really good movies. Back to the Future, without a doubt, is a trilogy that has stood the test of time and has held up stronger than most movie franchises. Anytime you're dealing with a film that talks about time travel, there's a lot of opportunity that can easily backfire. And unfortunately, there was a big hole that I just can't get the fuck over.
No!
In Back to the Future 3, Marty is stuck in 1955 and has to use the DeLorean to get back to 1985 that was left by Doc Brown when he was sent back to 1885 in the second movie.
Received this letter at the exact moment the DeLorean vanished. I have been living happily for the past 6 months in the year 1885. The lightning bolt that... 1885? The Doc's alive! I mean, he's in the Old West, but he's alive!
The young Doc Brown from 1955 helps restore the time machine, and Marty goes back to the past to get the old Doc Brown in the Old West. Upon arriving, the time machine suffers damage to the fuel tank, and the ongoing dilemma throughout the movie is how to get the car back up to 88 miles per hour. Robert Zemeckis must have been on Quaaludes when he agreed to this script because he overlooked one huge flaw. The time machine that was left by the old Doc Brown is still sitting in the cave waiting for it to be discovered in 1955. Why the fuck didn't Marty and Doc just take the gasoline from the old time machine instead of wasting 2 boobless hours of screen time? Didn't they know that the DeLorean left in the cave still had fuel?
Holy shit!
And for those of you who would object and say, the fuel line was ripped so they can't put gasoline in the car, meh, I'd like to rebuttal by saying yes they can and suck my balls. When they get the DeLorean back to Doc's shop, he puts whiskey in the engine to act as gasoline, which suggests that he's already repaired the fuel line.
Give him more gas!
Why didn't Robert Zemeckis proofread this shit's screenplay?
He's an asshole.
Whatever, let's move on. Edward Scissorhands is another one that took a dive for the worse. The story about an artificial human played by teen heartthrob Johnny Depp, not so much anymore, who's been isolated in a mansion and then taken in by your everyday common family where he's introduced to the world that's completely new and foreign. He was built by its scientist played by Vincent Price, who unfortunately dies before finishing his creation, leaving him with scissors instead of hands. Although reserved and introverted without the use of his hands, we see that he's extremely talented designing garden sculptures and cutting hair. The movie's a love story between Kim Boggs, played by Winona Ryder, where at the end of the movie, Winona Ryder, now an old grandmother, remembers Edward and the relationship they had in her youth. Well, that's all fine, but the biggest riddle is when the camera pans out, we see Edward carving ice sculptures in the attic of the mansion. Now that Winona Ryder has 2 feet in the grave and no one else is alive to remember Edward, how the hell did he get all those blocks of ice to the attic without the use of his hands? And this movie came out years before Amazon. Not that it would help, but let's say the ice was delivered. How the hell did he make any outgoing calls without the use of his hands?
Oh, Eddie, is there anything you can't do?
I bet he can't give me a high five. Still think these plot holes aren't real? Well, let's take a look at the biggest offender of them all. As much as Disney has grown to a huge global enterprise, they've done a real shit sandwich job leaving their films up for debate. Especially with films that are real fan favorites.
Don't give me that fat cat fancy lip wiggling!
The Toy Story line is a great example. When the toys are around the humans, they automatically stop moving. For what reason? I don't know. But when Buzz Lightyear is first introduced, he thinks he's the real Buzz Lightyear.
You actually think you're the Buzz Lightyear?
Okay, let's say I believe that too. Well, if that's the case, why does he stop moving when the humans are around? Shouldn't he be trying to prove a point? It's not like the world and universe will be destroyed. At the end of Toy Story 1, the toys gang up on Sid, exposing that the toys are actually alive.
So play nice.
Nothing happened there, so there's no reason why Buzz has to remain silent. Well, if that's not enough to convince you, Cinderella took a giant shit over the fairy tale genre as well. Cinderella loses her glass slipper, and the prince's master plan to find her is to have every girl in the kingdom try it on until he finds the owner. But did it ever occur to him that there are hundreds of girls who would have a perfect shoe size and fit just the same?
But sire, this slipper may fit any number of girls.
That's his problem.
Also, when Cinderella is granted her wish by her godmother, she transforms and is given until midnight before everything turns back again. Well, when midnight rolls around, everything, including the pumpkin and the mice, transforms back. But why didn't the slippers?
The whole thing was a plot!
I get that the glass slippers are the main trademark of the movie, but this has no logical sense. Well, that's my fucking take on this horse shit. I'd be interested to hear your thoughts on this, or let me know any other films I may have missed. If you like these types of videos, click the like button and subscribe to my channel so I can make more of these videos for you.